Hello, my name is David Hughes, and I'm going to present you with my opinions on the Board of Supervisors meeting that was held on April 13th. It's the first virtual meeting that the board has held, and took place wherever they were located, probably from their homes, and the conference video called in, using Zoom, which is interesting because all the video on Zoom goes through servers in China. So I don't know if you folks knew that, but I found it to be an interesting fact. And then they presented it using YouTube, and you can find their video if you want to watch their video on YouTube, or you can watch the same video with my opinion piece before the video on ExeterUnited.com or on my YouTube channel. So this meeting had a lot of issues on the agenda. They had 21 items, which I sent an email to them suggesting that was a rather large number of items for the first time holding a virtual meeting, although they handled it pretty well. I thought we didn't need to have as many. In fact, they agreed with me, but instead of removing them, they decided they would review each one and decide if they would table it until we get back to normalcy and the residents can attend a real meeting. So some of the items were tabled, many of them were not all, and the ones that were not tabled, not all of them I thought were issues that had to be addressed right then and there, but whether that's the case or not, I was confused by Mr. Speece's explanation on why they couldn't go back and review the agenda and cut some of the items out, something about the board couldn't get together. But it's my understanding through the past year and a half where I've asked people, how do you arrive at your agenda? I was curious how they got this agenda together every meeting. And I had been told that it was basically developed by the manager and the chairman of the board. So there shouldn't have been any issues or holdups if he had reviewed the agenda and said, well, let's take out these 4 or 5. They're not necessary for this meeting. But he kept them all on for whatever reason, I don't know, and gave us this confusing explanation on why they couldn't reduce the agenda items. Very confusing and doesn't support the facts as I know them. So maybe we can find out what the process is. Maybe he could tell us at the next meeting, describe the process of putting the agenda together. But what's more interesting with this meeting is not the items that were addressed per the agenda, but the items that are really left off of the agenda, items that they didn't talk about that I think they should have mentioned. I think they're important. And of course, one of those items is the financial audit that is supposed to be ready 90 days after the end of the prior year. So that clock starts ticking on January 1st. And what it does is it requires us to have an annual audited financial report completed by April 1st. And along with that audited financial report, we do a summary financial report that has to be submitted to the DCED. This is a state government department that requires all townships to report their annual financial audited information in a very standard report. You might have seen it, in fact, on the April 13th newspaper, the day of our meeting, the supervisors meeting, someone printed one of their DCED reports in the paper, reported it, because it's required that each township publish this report in a local newspaper so all of the residents can view it. So there was one in that paper, and it basically shows the revenue, the expenses, and then the balance of our general fund. And the deadline by the DCED is April 1st. We missed that deadline. We not only did we miss the deadline, we missed it really bad because according to Dave Spees, our chairman, the audit report will not be completed until the end of April. So this tells me that they probably didn't start the audit until late March. And it should have been started probably in around February, the beginning of February. So it could be completed by and summarized by April 1st. So they were remiss. They forgot about it. Maybe. I don't know what their excuse is. But it kind of shows you how disorganized they are, and this is a problem for me. So Dave suggested that they relax the deadline date, which they did not. The deadline, according to DCED, is still April 1st, but we will get a break because they will not levy any penalties against the township for being late because of the coronavirus situation. So we dodged the bullet on that one. But the point is, our township wasn't ready. They're still not ready to submit this information. Where other townships have met the deadline, others are coming in late, like the one that filed on the 13th. They were obviously late too, but we're going to be really, really late. So that wasn't spoken in the meeting, and this is a current event, and I'm concerned about that. Then there's another issue that I think they should start talking about, and that's the current police and administration building. Now, so far we've been able to convince our supervisors not to sell the Reading Country Club. And there's a lot of factors that saved the club, not the least being that 3 of our guys on the board are prolific golfers, and Mr. Spees was his major goal is to save the country club. So that's pretty well. We're going to probably have that for a while at least, maybe forever. But what no one is talking about is that the police and the administration building is still on the market. And I don't know if there's anybody looking to buy it or not, but I can tell you that the Valhalla building, that 5-6-story building just on the corner there, that was just sold for $5.1 million to some organization called Exeter Partners, LLC. So there's a lot of activity going around in that area, and I would not be surprised if the supervisors spring on us some tale or story about this building is going to, and that property is going to be sold soon. And I don't think we should be doing that right now because the promenade is still a big issue. So this administration building and the police building, they're not talking to us about that. But we got all these other items, 21 items on the agenda. Then there's also my concern about the police pension fund. Now, some other organizations have done their audits required by law on the pension funds, but we very rarely hear the supervisors talk about the pension funds at all, although they just dumped over $9 million from our sewer proceeds into the police pension fund. And they did this before the market collapsed. So we've lost, I don't know, we could lose as much as 3 to set, it was already 19 million in there, then they dump in another 9 million. So we're looking at just under $30 million probably in there, but I bet you that now we probably lost $3 million to $7 million. And we have video where I discuss this with the supervisors. Of course, they don't like to hear me talk about it, but I encourage them not to do this. I said, wait, let's hold the 9 million in our accounts. Let's earn the interest from the 9 million, because the pension fund was was funded 80 to 85% of its liabilities. And if anyone out there understands pension funds, you know that this is a very, very healthy percentage to fund any pension fund. So it wasn't necessary really to put that $9 million in there at the time. I encouraged them to keep it in our accounts. We could earn the interest and use it for our township. And then as required, we would add monies to the police pension fund. But Mr. Speece disagreed with my idea. He said, let's put this money in there because we can earn 6 to 7%. Although in 2018, while he was on the pension board, it lost $1 million. And you'll see, I have a video where I brought that up and he denied it, but the facts are the facts. We have an audited financial statement. We lost $1 million in 2018. And I can tell you folks that whatever I haven't seen the pension fund numbers, but I'm sure we have lost millions of dollars in that pension fund, and we've got to make it up. You know, these fellas on the board do not practice conservative views when it comes to money. Okay, when it comes to money, it's spend, 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 and they have no thoughts about the potential results that could occur. And my reasoning for waiting wasn't, I hadn't predicted the coronavirus. My thoughts were that the market was very, very high. It had been going on for quite a few years, and I felt that there was a correction due. We would see a correction. Now, once that correction happened, if we needed to add more funds, we could do it then. But Granger and Speece, they had decided that $9 million was going to go in there. And one of the only reasons I can come to is something that John Crusadis said, the other supervisor, who said that they wanted to tie up this money so that the new board couldn't come in and abuse the money or lose the money, abuse it, and they wanted to tie it up. This was his reasoning. So I think he's also to blame for making decisions that simply aren't logical and make absolutely no sense. And he's done that quite a bit. And let's remember that he is the fella that motioned or seconded the motion to kick Viva out that cost us millions of dollars, over $4 million. And we're still losing money on that. As long as that building is not operating, the food and beverage and the banquet business is not running, that tab is growing and growing. So that's the police pension fund, the administration building, and I think that we need to start using some common sense and involving the township people. Start listening to what we have to say. I mean, we don't even hear the board feedback from what we have to say to them. They'll listen, sometimes they'll answer questions. They very rarely answer my question. And then missing the deadline on the audit, there's no reason for us to do that. And you're thinking, well, maybe the COVID-19 might have delayed it. Well, remember this, accountants were exempt from the shutdown or the curfew. They're working. They're an essential part of the financial structure, so they were granted exemption. They were working the full time. So there's absolutely no reason for us to have missed the audited reporting date. Now, a couple other things I want to mention, and then I'll get to the very last one, the bigger one that I want to talk about, and that is the rental forgiveness. Now, they've decided to forgive the rent for April for the folks up on the promenade. Now, basically, I disagree with this idea. First of all, I think they need to check to see if, like many businesses, they have insurance that will pay them for business interruptions. They're small businesses, maybe they don't have it, but we should find out. Also, they will be probably able to recoup some of their losses through government programs that are being developed now and promised to make the small business owners whole after this terrible crisis. So I think it's premature to grant any forgiveness. But as you watch the video, you'll see they passed that, and they passed it quickly. And finally, I want to talk about the promenade. Okay. We had a caller, Mr. Carmelo, who called in and asked a question, aren't we working this thing backwards? And what the board wants to do is they want to go out and talk to architects and get ideas from them on what they should do with the promenade. And Mr. Carmelo said that, well, wait a minute, this kind of seems backwards. Shouldn't we have a town hall meeting and find out what the residents of our community want to be done with the promenade? Oh, no, Mr. Speece said. It's not backwards. We're going to go talk to the architects. It won't cost us any money. Don't believe that. These guys don't do anything for free. No one does anything for free today, okay? So we're not, and if it is free, you have to consider what it's worth, right? So I know they're issuing RFPs. That costs money. Somebody has to write them up. So they're spending money to get ideas on what to do with the promenade. Yet in a spring newsletter, they made it very clear they're going to use it for the fire department, the police department, the ambulance, the administration, including engineering, and then they're going to have a community center up there. So I think they know what they want to do, but is that what our community wants them to do? So I agree with Mr. Carmelo. I think that they are doing it backwards. They should have a town hall meeting, have the residents communicate to them what we want, not the other way around. But Mr. Speece says, no, we should go to the architects first. And what I would categorize that as doublespeak. For the Board of Supervisors, it's doublespeak. What they're really saying is that we're going to decide what we're going to do. You're not going to have any input. So they'll go out to the architects, they'll get the idea that they like best, and then they'll tell us what they're going to do. That's definitely the wrong way to approach it if they want to have the community buy in. So they keep claiming they want our respect. You know, they want us to trust them, but they keep doing the same old thing. So this project, in my estimation, would require us to use prevailing wages. Okay? Well, we had a leak on the roof, a simple leak in the roof on the Reading Country Club. That leak cost us $250,000 to fix, just a leak. So can you imagine? I think they're going to have to bulldoze that whole building down because it's configured as a commercial mall, not as a fire department or a police station. So my thought is they're going to end up demolishing that whole building, and then they're going to have to rebuild whatever the architects plan for us. And I believe it's going to be another Taj Mahal like the school district did with their schools. So I'm predicting around a $30 million tab. Don't be surprised about that. And there's a lot of reasons why. There are contractors who are associates of people that are involved with our township supervisors who are drooling, waiting for those contracts. And you can imagine why. So I think it's a bad idea. Personally, in my opinion, I want to see it fixed up to the point where we can start getting retail businesses in there, and then we'll sell it to a strip mall operator at some profit, and that's it. We're finished with it. There are other things we could do, much less expensive and more benefit to our community than developing that. We should put that back on the tax roll. Back on the tax roll. And you're going to see our taxes rise significantly in 5 years or less as we run out of the sewer money, because they're going through that, you know, like like you wouldn't believe. So that's all I have for you on this video. I think you should watch it. Particularly enjoyed the birds singing at the beginning of this video. At first I thought it was the combined collective thoughts of the 5 supervisors, but then I realized it's just birds. So enjoy the video. It's here on ExeterUnited.com, and I welcome your comments and emails. Thank you. Be safe.
Okay, we should be good.
So it's running?
Yep, good to go.
Very good. Well, welcome everyone this evening that's joining us. I'd like to call to order the April 13th, 2020 meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready. Probably all went out of the screen there when we took the pledge. So, okay, roll call. Mr. Gautier?
Here.
Mr. Staub?
Here.
Ms. Kircher?
Here.
Mr. Crusadas?
Here.
And I am here, David Spees. Okay, we will, quick announcement before we get started with public comment. Just want to let everyone know that's following here. We have a fairly lengthy agenda, but we think it's going to move rather smoothly, we hope. This is our first time with the live streaming, so please be patient. We hope it works well. And we hopefully that we will not be doing this for many meetings going forward. We hope everything calms down in the public sector everywhere. So just want to mention that the Board of Supervisors cannot get together and does not and cannot assemble to deliberate on the actual organization of the agenda. So we couldn't really cut the agenda down and adjust it depending on what was going on. What we're going to do during this meeting, due to the current situation, is we're going to consider delaying all non-business critical items that are on the agenda for when the public can directly participate. So as we go through the agenda items, we will look at the urgency, state the purpose, the urgency, and then consider whether to continue with the item, or if there is a motion in a second, and we would take a vote to table item to a future time. That understood by everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, very good. Well, let's try and see how we do with the public comments on agenda items.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. So we have 4 individuals that submitted public comments for agenda items. So I'm just going to start with the one that was received first. So we have John Carmelo, 3 Brookside Court, and I am going to play his comments. Now, he commented on 4 different agenda items. The first one being number 3 under old business, discussion on wastewater treatment plant sale proceeds fund.
Why is there no information on the township website about this item? There are millions of dollars involved, and the residents are kept in the dark. How are we supposed to ask intelligent questions and provide input to the board?
Is that the end of it, Laurie?
That was the end of the first one. Yes.
Okay.
He has 3 others.
Well, I can comment since the public may be curious on that, but we do have a rough presentation put together, a one-page description, and I think we can post that as a draft on the website, but we actually wanted to discuss it in public. So we will talk about that when we get to that item, but we can discuss it in public. But, you know, we were just trying to, it's no new information. We're just trying to put everything in one place for everyone to understand. So when we get to that item, we can consider if we want to post that now and whether or not we're going to have any discussion on that. Any other
Okay.
comments
Sorry.
from anyone?
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, go ahead, Laura.
So his next comment is on number 4 under old business. This is the discussion on RFP responses of architect for the Promenade Shopping Center.
There hasn't been a town hall to discuss the project and you want to select candidates to interview? Is that not backward?
And that's the end of that comment.
Yeah, I can comment on that. Others can jump in, but I don't think it's backwards. Selecting or talking to architects is trying to get ideas of what potentially could be done. Stuff that we don't have a lot to present to the public at this point. We have a sketch, a rendering, but no real information. So the discussion tonight was about how to proceed and get information so that we could hold a public meeting and see what is possible and what's needed. So we can talk about that later. Anyone else?
No?
That's the best approach. Yep.
Okay, and his next one is under new business. This is in regards to number 2, authorize Cohen Law Group to negotiate cable franchise agreement with Comcast.
The town hall was canceled and no input from the residents. How was a decision made to go with Comcast?
John, you want to comment on that one?
It looks like there's confusion on the Comcast. This isn't anything to do with Comcast and Service Electric. This is the ability to, because there's a small group of residents in Exeter that have Comcast, this is to solidify that agreement with Comcast. This has nothing to do with Service Electric. But we do have to reschedule that town hall as a board, the Service Electric one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the reason we canceled the last one and we haven't rescheduled is because the right people weren't available. And if we don't have representatives from Comcast or Service Electric or others, I mean, Comcast is a very small part of the service in this community, but we still have an agreement. And you can see that contract expires in 2022, where Service Electric agreement has already expired. So 2 different things, and we just need to get the participants to be able to attend the meeting, and it's difficult right now.
Correct.
Good.
Okay, and his last one under new business is number 5 and 6 under new business. This is in regards to the Daniel Boone Homestead Master Plan.
How can you do these 2 items concurrently? Shouldn't the committee draw up the master plan before the RFP?
Laura, you want to comment?
Yeah, I can comment on that. The committee is part of the master plan process. The RFP has to go out first so we can get a company to actually do the master plan. We need somebody to work on the master plan, and the study committee will be a part of it. So we have to establish the people that we would like to participate, and that was done in coordination with PHMC to find the best people to participate on that committee that will then participate once we have a planner in place to work on the master plan.
Great, thanks. I think that was similar to Trout Run master planning, right?
Yep, that's exactly right. It's the same process.
Okay.
Okay, that's it for Mr. Carmelo. So we have a second comment on agenda items. This is from Terry Riley, 13 Craig Drive. And this is a little more lengthy.
Good evening. I am somewhat concerned about meetings without the public's participation. I don't have a problem with meetings for approval of expenses, etc. But I do have an issue when you are discussing things like the proposed promenade and we, the residents, don't have the ability to have any input once the meeting starts. In these difficult times, I believe it would better serve the community to leave the police and the township staff exactly where they are. If we continue to own the promenade, we could update the spaces and we could generate rent from the properties. However, under this option, I believe we would lose the property tax revenue from the property. Under your original proposal, we lose both the rental income and the property taxes and have paid out a considerable amount of cash. Perhaps the best use would be to improve it and then sell it off. We would lose the rent but would put the property back on the tax rolls and we would have the cash from the sale.
And that's the end of that one.
It's in? No,
Yep.
I understand the comment. I mean, we need to get to that point to where we have that public discussion. I don't know if anyone has any other comments regarding that. I think it's a valid argument, and that's why we are only going to consider business critical items tonight so that the public will be able to participate in those type of discussions. Everyone good?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is from Donna Hutchinson, and she is commenting on new business number 2. This is the cable franchise agreement with Comcast.
Before you decide to change cable service, have you polled the citizens? If cable service is changed, does that mean that I must also change to Comcast?
Yeah, again, I think there's confusion there on what this is, Dave. This is just an agreement for a small portion of the Exeter Township community that we have to begin to negotiate the cable franchise with Comcast, and then we'll schedule a town hall for the majority of the residents that have Service Electric. So there's no worry here to that you're going to have to switch. This is just the small portion of the township near Antietam that has Comcast.
And Clarence or Jen, does anyone know what that is? I think it's something like 90%. Yeah, I don't know of anyone that has the choice of either or. I think about 90% of Exeter residents have Service Electric and about 10% have Comcast.
That's correct.
Yeah, so it's either or. It's just happens to be little pieces of Exeter that fall under a different company.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, last one under agenda items. This one is from Janet and Dave Hurlbrink, 12 Longview Drive. And they are commenting on the short-term lodging ordinance.
We, along with 27 of our neighbors who signed our petition, previously submitted for the record, hope that the Exeter Township supervisors will do what is best for Exeter residents that are located within the SR1 and SR2 residentially zoned districts. We respectfully request that the supervisors pass the proposed zoning ordinance changes regulating short-term lodging in Exeter. Having this ordinance in place will ensure that there are rule regulations with operating short-term rentals homes in the township and that restrictions to certain districts will allow us to retain the exiting character and property values in our suburban residential family neighborhoods.
And that was the end of that one.
Okay, I don't know what to comment. I mean, I think we will discuss that when we get there. It sounds like they were recommending that we go ahead and pass the ordinance as is, but I mean, we will discuss that when we get to that item.
Okay, that was
I
the end.
understood that. Any other comments? Okay, that's it for public comment.
That was it.
All right, move on to regular approvals. The minutes, March 9th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 9th, 2020.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion from anyone? All those in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. I think everyone was an aye there.
Correct.
Okay, very good. The next item was ratification of disbursements, March 23rd, 2020. This is because we did not have a meeting on March 23rd, and there were some critical payments that needed to be made to keep certain things running. So that's why there's a ratification item here.
I'll make a motion to ratify the disbursements for March 23rd, 2020.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, there's a few items I was hoping Jen could comment on that we've already addressed.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, thanks, Jen.
There were 3 items that I was going to address. 2 were actually related. There was a health and welfare audit findings payment the central Teamsters for $1,794 and also 2 years. This was an audit for 2017 and 20.
Lori, is the audio off on that, or was it my computer?
No, I think we lost.
It was off. It sounded really bad.
Yeah.
Couldn't understand
I couldn't really
anything.
understand her.
Yep, nope, I was trying to make some changes on my end here. Jen, are you, let me try this again. I think we lost her audio. Yep, she looks like she's going to rejoin.
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback. Very, very mumbly and garbled.
All right, we're working on getting her back. Okay, we're going to try. We're just going to try a different way here. Oh, she's back.
All right, sorry about that. Zoom's giving me some issues. Can you hear me?
Yep.
You can now.
You're going to have to restart all of that, though. Sorry. Yep, I was here from the beginning.
Okay, so we had 2 payments for audit findings to the Central PA Teamsters Fund. One was for health and welfare. The other one was for pension. Those are audits normally happen every 2 years. They're for the years 2017 and 2018. So those are just normal payments. They go through and they look through our payroll records to determine if we are abiding by the CBA. There's usually some small payments that are made for both. That's just clearing up the audit findings. And then the last one was just our normal payment that was made to the Central PA Teamsters Fund. That's normal February 2020 contribution. Since my sound is working right now, I'm going to go on to the April 9th questions. There was a workers' compensation payment made to the fire department. That is just made to reimburse them for the workers' compensation payments that they make. That is part of their budgeted expenses. There was also payment made to Fox Rothschild for January, totaling $53,000. Variety of different issues, mainly $18,000 of right to know requests, $6,000 for general advice, some other labor issues, and JMH and wastewater treatment plant related items. The last one is for Simone Collins. There was 2 payments made, one for $75, which was just general planning advice, and one for $360, which was for the review of some building plans for the Exeter retail space, which is next to Sheets.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. So disbursements for the April 13th, 2020,
Dave, I'm sorry. Can you just tell me who seconded?
it was, did I write that down? I believe it was
me.
On the 23rd, it was Greg, right? Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had gotten that.
John
It was
and Greg.
Greg and I on the first, second one.
Okay, disbursements, April 13th, 2020. I'll make a motion to approve the disbursements for April 13th, 2020.
I'll second it.
Who got in there first?
Joe did.
I
Okay,
think Joe was yellow first. So.
okay. Any further discussion on the current disbursements? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Subject audit.
Subject audit.
Okay. Those ayes have it, subject to audit. Treasurer's report for February 2020. I will make a motion to approve the treasurer's report, subject to audit.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, let's move to old business. Monthly golf report for March. This was posted on the website for review. Clarence, I don't know, or any comments from?
I don't really have anything other than, they've been doing quite a bit of work as far as cleanup from the winter and some tree removal. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
We've been down how long, Dave? 3 weeks? 'Cause
Yeah,
of
so
COVID?
I'll make a comment there. So we closed sometime in like around the 3rd week of March. Luckily, the early part of March was decent weather. So we're actually, through March ahead of 2019. I can almost guarantee that April will not be as good as March, since we will likely be closed for the entire month of April. But luckily, I think we're looking at costs, controlling, only doing necessary stuff to get done. And, we got to see how long this lasts. Luckily we had a very good January, February, March to start off the year. And we'll just have to hope that, things improve in the near future. Any comments from any other board member or anyone else?
I just don't think that the monthly golf report during these times are necessary. Not that they're not important, but they're not necessary. I think we should just breeze through anything we can.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to keep it. We need to keep it, Michelle, but we could breeze through it.
It is, yeah, it is posted. I mean, we
Stay on.
tell the public that we'll post these each month, and if it's not, I don't think this one's a lot of work. But for people that go through it, if you go in the treasurer's report, a lot of the information is available also in the treasurer's report. It's kind of an extraction from that, with a couple extra numbers. But point well taken. And as I said, I already fell off my mission whether or not this was business critical. We're not deliberating on that. It was just a presentation. If it's okay, we'll move on to the right to know report, right to know request report. That was posted on the website. I don't see much to discuss there unless anyone has any comments. It's just a piece of information we put out to everyone.
No comments for me.
None.
Okay. Move on. Item number 3, discussion on the wastewater treatment plant sale proceeds fund. Just as, basically it was what it is there. This is no new information that was to be presented. The purpose of this was to just share a summary of where we're at on a one-page slide that everyone could refer to, rather than looking at multiple documents to determine where we were, what we spent money on, and what we have in the future. So as far as being business critical, open to suggestions or motions from the board, whether or not to table this item.
Make a motion to table the item.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I think it should just be posted for now on the website so people can look at it. It can be discussed at a later meeting.
Good comment, Michelle, and I would agree with that. Jen, I think we have a draft of that. If we could just label it as draft until the board gets to review it at a public meeting and take comments. I don't think
We've had this out there for a long time.
Not on one page.
Okay, you're saying.
The information's out there. This goes through line item and shows
Got
that dollar.
So we just want to do a brief summary for the public.
Yep.
Okay.
Everyone knows where every dollar is.
All right.
So I would agree if we could, Jen, post the draft.
Absolutely. We'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion on the RFP responses.
Oh, Dave,
We have to vote for that.
Oh, sorry, I thought we did. You're right. We had a first and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, this is about the architect for the
No,
project?
this is the wastewater treatment still. We
Oh,
didn't-
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
All those in favor of tabling this item?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So discussion on the RFP responses for architect. For those listening, and for just a quick summary, is that we solicited for architects to put in proposals. We got quite a large number of those. The purpose of this was to discuss, just to have discussions with a few architects to see where we could possibly go, what were the opportunities, so that we could gather some information of possibilities to discuss with the public. That's what was in my mind, but again, this is a topic, so I don't, Clarence or anyone else want to comment on the business criticality of this?
Well, I really think you should at least move forward with the RFPs and come up with you got to have somebody to give you some direction as to where you want to go.
Yeah, and this was not to spend any money. It was to basically choose three of the best, or what we appear to be the best proposals, just to interview them and say, what are the possibilities with this site? So comments or discussion?
I have a comment. I think we're jumping the gun. I think that the residents have a right, before we proceed with anything, to make comment on it and hear what they would like to see happen with their property. Before anything's done, that is a big, means a lot to what's going to happen up there to many of the residents. And I just think it will not be good for the supervisors to jump ahead without a meeting specifically on that.
Dave, I agree with Michelle. I would postpone this at least till we can gather additional information. I do think, though, that it is going to become critical, especially because of the tenant situation we have up there, and the building being in, I would say, disrepair would be fair for especially the Giant, the Blockbuster that was able to go through. Probably need to set up a time. Again, this is when the world gets back to normal, to solicit the input of the community. At one point, though, we are going to need to, if the RFP is not going to cost any money or whatever we're doing there, I think it's something to consider. But I would stall, hoping that we can get back to normal in the near future.
Yeah, I would stall. The only thing is too, besides the urgency, of course, is the money starting to pour in for the firehouse. So we can't keep just talking about this. We're going to have to get moving at some point. Otherwise, we're going to give a lot of money back, and we'll have egg on our face again.
Yeah. And again, just for the public, I mean, I think I agree with the comments, but yeah, the purpose of this was to try to get possibilities to discuss, but that could be done in a different forum.
Yeah, it's only about direction. It's not about doing something. It's just
Right.
giving you ideas.
I think one thing that's important to consider, when we have the town hall, which absolutely we need to do, we need to make sure we can answer questions and we're making educated decisions, and that's where architects help you. I agree with tabling it, but it's important to have professionals involved when we're having those discussions.
Yep. Okay, do I hear a motion for?
I'll make a motion to table this item.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor, tabling this item?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Adopt short-term lodging ordinance. This, as everyone knows, this has been going on for quite a while. We do have a draft in hand, or we have the ordinance there. I think there is, I'll leave it to everyone else, but I mean, I think there is likely additional public comment. We heard one at the beginning here.
This needs to be tabled.
Yeah.
I'll make a
motion to table the short-term ordinance.
I'll second.
Greg, second.
Dave, do you know when the hearing was on this?
No. Is Will on?
Yeah, I believe it was February, the first meeting in February.
Okay, the only reason that I asked is there are some statutory requirements that I believe it needs to be acted on within 90 days of the hearing. So it's fine to table now. I just wanted to put that on your radar.
Okay.
I think we have time. I think we'll just have to make sure that the public is there. Hopefully by May, this is over, and we have a meeting in May with the public, and we could address this.
Right. I just wanted to point that out.
Sure. And Alicia, maybe one comment there, maybe if you could check for us, if there is any leeway on that 90 days, given the current environment.
Sure.
Okay. So that item, we had a first and a second. We voted on that, I believe. I lost track there.
I don't remember.
I don't think we voted.
Okay. Yeah, it was further discussion. So, for no other comments on this? All those in favor of tabling this item?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. New business, approve ratification of the declaration of emergency. I don't know, Alicia, Clarence, anyone want to comment on the purpose of this?
It's basically to give us the ability to go after monies, I think is really what it comes down to, is to recoup money from the federal government and the state. And Alicia can comment on that, but basically that's what it's about.
Yeah, it potentially makes some monies available. I believe that the declaration of emergency also addressed the ability of certain personnel, depending on job duties, to work remotely. Those were items that needed to be addressed quickly for health and safety purposes. So this is to subsequently approve a declaration that took place a few weeks ago.
And I think this was certainly business critical to put us in good position with those potential reimbursements. So I would make a motion to approve the ratification of the declaration of emergency.
I'll
I
second.
make that motion. Or if Dave did, that's fine. Right here.
Who was that, Greg?
Greg first.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approve the ratification. Item number 2, authorize the Cohen Law Group to negotiate the cable franchise agreement with Comcast. We talked about this a little bit in the public comment. Like I say, this is 2020. The Cohen Law Group typically does it for a lot of different townships, so they have some leverage. Alicia, you have any comment on that, or?
I reviewed the agreement. You are correct. Cohen Law does a ton of this, and basically, the more municipalities that agree to participate in that, the bigger the reduction in the fee, because it's negotiating on behalf of a variety of different groups. And to echo what was said earlier on, this is not requiring anyone to be changing any service provider or anything like that. It's purely a franchise agreement. It permits the township to recover monies, basically, for assisting and facilitating putting these third-party vendors' equipment on lines.
Alicia, do they just receive a percentage of what we collect, what the 5% we would collect, say if it was Service Electric?
Yeah, that's my impression. Is it's the same type of arrangement. It's just that Comcast has a very tiny portion of the township that's not covered by Service Electric.
Correct. Okay.
So question is, I mean, if we're following the format here, is this business critical? Do we think it's controversial or needs more explanation with the public present?
Yeah, I think we need to explain it more because we had 2 calls on it. So I would make a motion to table this for the next public meeting.
Second.
I think there's confusion out there, Dave, so I think it makes sense.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of tabling this item to a future meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approved contract with Asphalt Maintenance Solutions LLC in the amount of $96,900 for the 2020 bituminous seal coat project.
That is correct, and that is for Moyer Road, Wegman Road, Hartman Road, and Sadowski Drive.
And Clarence, I mean, I think this is a follow-up from, I don't have the date here, but we have.
Yeah, we had it, we canceled that meeting, so we couldn't approve it at the meeting that we had canceled.
Okay,
Yeah.
And prior to that, we had put this out for bid, and now
It's out for bid. We only received the 1 bid, but they are state approved, so there are really only 2 companies that do it, so.
And this is in the budget, and is this?
Yes.
Fuel?
It is budgeted liquid fuels, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve that contract, the Seal Coat project for 2020.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Discussion on the storm water matter on Hilldale Road. I don't know if Joe or Will are there.
I think Will has most of it.
Will, and I just unmuted him, so you should be able to hear him now.
Laurie, can you scroll the agenda, please?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I can't see.
And then I just have something. This is for...
So there are several property owners over on Hilldale Road. It's actually the Ramblewood subdivision, which was built in the late 80s, early 90s. They've been experiencing some stormwater issues. There is a swale that runs between the properties, and over the years it has silted up. This is the responsibility of the township to maintain this swale. There are issues of encroachments from the property owners with fences and retaining walls and sheds. Township staff have put together 2 options to address this stormwater issue. The staff are just looking for a direction that the Board of Supervisors would like to take on this.
We'll do all the work, Will.
No, it would be bid.
We would bid.
Okay.
As far as the business criticality, I guess, of this issue, I mean, question would be, if it's bid out, are people working in this field?
Well, they will be. Presently, this week and next week, I know PA American has been approved by the governor, and also several contractors are starting to dig to install water mains. So this kind of stuff is going to start coming out again. I mean, they're going to be going. They won't even wait till the end of the month for this to start working. So this stuff will be, if you can put it out for bid, I mean, it's going to take a month anyway, a month or more. So
Yeah.
and this is in that stormwater budget.
So then hopefully when things back to normal, we'd have the bids back to make a decision.
Yeah. Joe would put it together, and Joe Rogowski would put it together.
Okay. Comments from anyone else? I think it's
sensitive enough that we should vote on, that you would need an RFP, Clarence?
Yeah, Joe would do that.
Rogowski would.
Okay.
Is there anything really to vote on, or is it?
We should have to authorize Great Valley
You
Consultants.
just need to get Great Valley approval to go ahead and get
Oh,
it
okay.
ready, put it out.
Make a motion to authorize Great Valley Consultants to bid out the stormwater matter on
Yeah,
Hillsdale Road.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I think but the issues they've been having there, and especially spring and rains and everything else, I think it's something we have to act on. We know it's a problem.
it was never a great system to begin with. The developer didn't do it was never a nice setup the way they had it.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there, I guess. At this point.
Okay. The next two are kind of interrelated. We'll do the first one, authorize advertisement for RFP for Daniel Boone Homestead Master Plan. Laurie, I don't know if you have comments on the business criticality of this. I mean, I think the document that's been posted, has some timelines that were already passed and due, but given the state of everything, I mean, is this business critical for immediate action?
Of course, we'd like to keep moving on it as much as possible. Yeah, we do have to reschedule. Those dates already have to be pushed. And it's challenging to figure out when to reschedule them right now. But the dates are something that we could work with PHMC on to make sure that we're setting them far enough out. So it's really your call. There's nothing so time sensitive in it, and maybe Will can chime in if I'm missing anything, but there's nothing so time sensitive in it that we would absolutely have to do it right now. Just one of those things that we'd like to keep moving on.
Is there
A deadline, and I'm sure DCNR will extend this deadline of 2 years to use the awarded grant funds of the 50,000. I'm sure they would be open to extending that, with everything going on. So there is a deadline that we are currently working against.
Okay, but it's basically 2 years.
Mhm.
Dave, I would recommend that we table, but also too, that we have a more definitive and accurate timeline. If we have the ability to reach out to the folks involved to see as far as extensions, and again, considering the environment we're in, we're not quite sure when we'll be able to do some of these things to kind of get a more accurate dates and then to move it out. That would be my recommendation.
So that's your motion? Motion made. Anyone?
I'll second.
Second by John. Any further discussion by anybody? All those in favor of postponing this?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And then the study committee for the Daniel Boone Master Plan doesn't necessarily go hand in hand, I guess, but Laurie, I mean, anything different on this item? Unless we have a volunteer.
I received a phone call from Larry Drago, and he's kind of taking charge of the Friends now. And he asked me if I would be interested in coming down and help him. I had helped before for a lot of their programming. So it's up to the board. I don't need an answer tonight.
Yeah, knock yourself out, Michelle.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Michelle, I think that's a great idea for you to get involved with that.
I'm fine with that.
So we got a motion.
Make a motion to nominate Michelle Kircher as a member of the board for the Daniel Boone Homestead Master Plan process.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. You got 300 acres to work with, Michelle. Item number 7, under new business, consider authorizing the purchase of equipment for the Reading Country Club Golf Course. We've been talking about this since last year, but times are different now. There's some quite old equipment. Clarence or Larry?
I think Larry wants to speak to this.
With the John Deere 2500B, the precision cut is something that you would need sooner than later due to the fact the existing one is no longer running due to the engine is shot, and we also had hydraulic issues before the engine failed on us.
So Larry, you're saying number 1 is critical and 2 and 3 can wait?
Yes, pretty much the Kubota tractor, I mean, it is running. However, to get it back up to par, we would have to spend some money into it. But as of right now, it is still operating if you want to hold on that. And the Vertrac is something that if we have to push off even longer, we would be okay with that. But we would still like to keep it on the table for when we want to purchase equipment.
Maybe next year, yeah. So I think we should just do the priority 1, especially in the environment today. We haven't made any money this month, so we have to be careful with looking at the public and spending all this money. So I'm okay approving 1 and tabling 2 and 3.
Would you still consider doing number 2 later on this year yet?
Maybe later on, once we open back up and start making money.
Okay.
Yeah, I would comment too, I guess, not that it's any better. I mean, sometimes you could do with a lot of labor, you could make up for not having this piece, but we're also trying to delay or reduce labor, and we don't have much labor right now. So to actually keep the place functional during this downtime.
Yeah, plus the direction we're going. If we find someone to manage or lease the course, we don't want to be buying all this stuff until we have better direction what we're doing with the property.
Right.
With priority number 1, it would take a little bit of time for us to get it anyways. It would just be that we would say that it was okay to order it at this time.
That's fine. Well, once we vote on it, obviously.
I just have concerns putting more money, over $4,000 of repairs in number 2 for a $30,000 machine.
That's 21 years old. I would say we don't authorize that. And if it needs the repair and it breaks down, we have to come back to the board.
Yeah, but I'd wait until this isn't urgent. This isn't business critical, Greg. The golf course is closed for another month at least.
So I think we'd be okay waiting on number 2. Yeah, if we wait on number 2 for a little bit, we're fine. I just wouldn't push it off till next year. Not that we're saying that we have to spend the $4,000 at this moment to keep it.
Let's see what the environment does. Let's see how the environment happens. If this opens back up the economy, we have to be smart.
I agree. I believe the direction we need to go is to, since number 1 is absolutely necessary, and number 2, I would not put that money in if it does get to the point where we cannot function with that piece of equipment, I would not put that money in. I think we would then need to reconsider a purchase. And number 3, I would delay. So I would recommend we authorize the purchase of number 1 and then table 2 and 3.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. You got that, Laurie?
Got it. Thank you.
Go to item number 8, authorize the purchase of a 2020 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor for $48,400.
Chief, do you want to talk about the criticality of this?
It's currently the vehicle that we're using now. The training vehicle is a 2014 Ford Explorer. So I'm currently using the training vehicle. So the officers do not have a training vehicle to utilize at this time. However, it can be put off. Nobody's really going to training at this time because of the pandemic that we're currently facing. So if it needs to be put off, until this opens back up again and officers start going to training, that's fine, at least for number 8. Number 9 is to replace the budget item to replace the 1996 Ford F-350 police traffic truck. I think that's more of a critical nature at this point. Larry can chime in a little more about the 1996 vehicle if he's still on.
Yes. Well, actually, the chief, the 2014 would be the training car, for the simple fact the training car we do have now, which is being used by an officer with his car being down because of we don't want to do the cross contamination of having people hopping in different cars. Okay. And his canine vehicle was down, so we had to give him something to get back and forth, which is the 04 Chevy Malibu with 156,000 miles on it. So your car would actually be a little bit quicker to grab a hold of, which would then give us an additional vehicle which already has lights and stuff like that. It would basically be an unmarked police car, not just a training car, the 2014. So, with the 96 Ford F-350, it has a lot of rust issues. Actually, it just ends up sitting here right now. So therefore, we have a police car that's sitting on a lot where it's not being used at all, and that's why we want to replace that. Both items were budgeted, but that would be up to you guys on what you want to do. I mean, if you want to hold off a little bit, we can hold off. It's just we are running low on cars with the virus that's going around that we don't want to have cross-contamination.
Again, of the two, if we had to prioritize the two, which one is needed more? It sounds like we are trying to figure out who's using what.
Right. The main thing I would do, the one that we could get the quickest would be the 2020 Ford Explorer. But if the F-150, now Ford isn't making any F-150s right now, but the Explorer is something we can get faster than the F-150.
Then yeah, number 8.
So number 8, I would actually go with. I would like to do the number 9. However, like I said, Ford is not producing vehicles or manufacturing vehicles right now. But the Explorer is something that is easy to get a hold of compared to an F-150 police interceptor, which is different than a regular F-150 pickup.
So it sounds like it's just a practical thing. We can't get number 9, so we need a car, and yes. So if number 8's available, it might be the default.
Right, and then like I said, the 2014 already has the radio and lights in, so if we would need another patrol car or something to show up on scene, it has the lights and sirens and radio that is needed to be used as a police vehicle. So we could actually add that to the fleet with everything that's been going on.
Since this is obviously going to be so far out as far as number 9, do you want to consider if he orders it? I mean, this could be fall till he gets this.
Right. We wouldn't basically be spending any money until October for the F-150, we would just be putting on the list for when Ford starts operating again.
Yeah, because if you wait till then, you're not gonna get it till next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the Interceptor for the dog?
No, the 2020 Ford Interceptor would be to give to the chief, and then the chief's car that he's currently using would become another patrol car.
Okay.
So it sounds like there are both budgeted items. The dollars are going to be down the road, but if we don't put an order in now, we're going to be very short on vehicles.
That to me makes it time sensitive.
Yes. We are picking up our K9 vehicle that was budgeted from last year. That is going to be done tomorrow afternoon from Koch 33 that we will be picking up.
Wow, that's been a while, Larry, because we approved that last year.
Yes. And the sergeant's car that we have that is was damaged in December that we approved that wasn't budgeted, I should have by Friday of this week also, which helps out the police issue.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't do it now, you're gonna.
Yeah.
It'll be a long time until you get it.
We still have an F550 that we ordered last year that we haven't received yet. So this stuff kind of takes time. Like I said, it's not like we're going to be issuing a check anytime soon. It's just more or less getting it ordered.
Yeah, we're at the mercy of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to make a motion to authorize the purchase of the 2020 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor for $48,400.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Then I'm going to make a motion to authorize the purchase of a 2020 Ford F-150 Police Interceptor for $53,035.
I'll second that as well.
And then 90 cents, sorry, missed the 90 cents.
Any further discussion on that one? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Approve a resolution for giving the April 2020 rent payments to the township for the promenade tenants. I know about the background. I don't know, Clarence, you want to make comment? We have 4 tenants currently up there that,
Yes.
like everyone else, can't operate, and they're, you know, like most small businesses are struggling.
That is correct. And at this time, that was just something we've been kicking around as far as just trying to help them out, because, I mean, the rent they're paying isn't an extreme amount, but it's still, they're all still hurting. So it's just something we thought we would put by you and see what you thought of it.
I think it's also very likely later this year it could be impacting business as well.
Yeah.
These folks.
I think this is something we have to do. You hear hashtag we're all in this together and those type of things. Well, I agree with that, and this is something we can do for them, so I think we should do it.
Yeah, I think in today's environment, it's really hard for these small businesses, especially I go to the photo place a lot and the Chinese place a lot. So I definitely think that it's something that's going to help them hopefully get by this rough time.
Yeah, they've been there quite some time as well. I think it's the right thing to do.
Agree.
No. Motion?
I understand everybody's going through this, and you know, I feel bad for everybody that has a business, but it's the residents' money, they're taxpayers, and I can't do it unless we talk to them. And you're free to do whatever you want. And I'm just explaining to you my reasoning. And I have nothing against any of the business up there. I think they all do a wonderful job, but it's not my money. So feel free to do whatever you want.
I think this could be something, Dave, that we might be able to get help with some of the grants and.
Yes, I believe so. I mean, there's stuff with the taxes and other things. I mean, for for losses.
For the CARES Act and other things.
Correct. Keeping businesses employed and other things. So we don't know that situation yet.
Yeah, I think the urgency is now, so I'll make a motion to approve the resolution forgiving the April 2020 rent payments for the 4 township properties at the Promenade.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed,
So,
since I stated.
so 4-1. Thank you. Item number 11, letter of support for Burke's Nature application to the Delaware Watershed Conservation Fund. This is for Carsonia, the Crystal Lake Restoration Project, which is a multi-year project, I believe, to clean that up.
Yeah, I have a couple comments with this. This is just a letter of support. There's no financial obligation. And the grant application was actually due April 8th. They were given an extension for the letters of support. So it is kind of time critical.
Yep.
Agree.
Yeah, this is fluff, as I said to Dave in my email. I would do it.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of support.
I'll
Second.
Was that Joe?
Joe or John?
Okay. I'll give Joe. I'll give it to Joe.
Give it to Joe.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approve contract with Safe City Solutions to conduct sergeant promotional testing in the amount of $2,200. Chief, you want to comment on that?
Yes, we have 2 sergeants that will be retiring here at the end of the year. Both will max out of the drop program. Myself, Lieutenant Harley and Lieutenant Schaefer interviewed vendors to conduct the promotional testing, and we settled on Safe City Solutions. They've done testing for Wyomissing, Cumru, West Reading, and Lower Pottsgrove police departments. It's an absolute necessary function for us. We have to have people to fill these leadership positions when they become open here in the fall. The test vendor needs time to design the test, and in addition, we have to provide time for the officers to review the study material so they can take the test. This is, again, a budgeted item that we planned for last year.
Yeah, I think given certainly the planning, succession planning, and have people to replace the retiring officers and making sure we have the right people in the right positions, I think it's certainly timing is critical on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Safe City Solutions to conduct sergeant promotional testing in the amount of $2,200.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it. It's approved. Authorized settlement of assessment of business privilege taxes. Alicia, you want to comment on this one?
Sure. So this was discussed during executive session this evening before the meeting. What the board is considering is whether to settle a business tax dispute pursuant to Pennsylvania law, specifically Local Taxpayer Bill of Rights. There are strict confidentiality requirements that preclude the discussion of additional details. But as noted, it was discussed today during executive session. So it's before the board as to whether to approve it or reject it. If it is approved, I would request it be subject to Business Privilege Tax Council finalizing the language of a settlement agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the settlement of the assessment of business privilege taxes, subject to approval by the Business Privilege Tax Board.
I'll second.
That was Greg for...
John, I think, beat me. That's
Okay.
fine.
Good. I'll take this one.
Just helping Laurie out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Update on Community Communications Committee.
Yeah, there's a draft of the plan that we've been working on. We had a committee meeting. We were going to have a second meeting, but unfortunately we had to cancel it with the virus. But basically you're looking at 4 action items. We're looking at recommending an electronic newsletter that would be monthly, electronic signs, ways to improve the website, and then a specific process for getting questions answered. That's basically what you see in the communications plan that's on the website with the board documents.
Yeah, we've been talking about electronic sign for a long time. Greg, what are your thoughts on putting it towards the library where there's better visibility?
We had 2 locations, library and the township property. We have to look at prices.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk to Amity. I know the one in Amity seems quite useful that they've put up down there.
Can give them a call.
Yeah. So, and I guess just to mention, the reason this topic will be an ongoing recurring item, probably on the agenda. So it's not a deliberation in my mind. Correct, Greg?
Yeah, and I want to keep the discussion going because, we don't know what's happening in society with the coronavirus. But I think we need to find a way to better communicate with the public in a quick form. And the electronic newsletter capability would give us that. We could be facing this whole thing again next fall. You hear that's a possibility. So, okay, that we weren't prepared this time as much as we'd like to be, but we should get prepared for the future. So, in any case, what you're seeing on the computer screen right now is a sample newsletter Lori and I worked on, and we shared with the committee and have gotten some positive feedback that we would try to make our communications more proactive and informative rather than telling people what happened, telling them, hey, this is coming up, so that we can improve participation and have a more knowledgeable community. These items on here are not necessarily true. It's fictitious just to give an idea what this newsletter would look like.
Hey, Greg, regarding the billboard, I think you had mentioned on the notes about possibly advertising.
Yes.
I think that would be a great option. And the other thing is too, we may want to consider someone like Lamar who can actually do the dirty work for us.
That's a good idea.
If they can drum up the advertising dollars and we have the utilization of the screen itself with our info, depending on how we rotate it in and out, because most of these are, it kind of floats in and out. It could be on there for 10 seconds, then the next one comes. So there may, whether or not we want to have our information in there 24/7 or utilize a business that can do it where it ends up costing us nothing. So it's just something we may want to consider. But I would like the library better only because more eyes are going to see it going down Business 422.
Yeah, there's better visibility there.
We
Correct.
did talk to Lamar about this years ago, but they directed us into another direction. They really don't want to get involved in it, but they did send us some, input as to where we should be looking for.
Yeah, there's other companies.
They're not really interested in getting involved in this.
There's other companies that do that.
Yeah,
there's a couple good ones.
Very good.
So that's the report.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So update on the Reading Country Club Clubhouse Committee. Anything business critical to report there, or?
The only thing I would say is both Michelle and I separately spoke with Chef Keith
Taylor.
Taylor, and he's going to send me a proposal for us to consider at the next meeting, to start the process for him working with us to help us out with this stuff.
Yeah, it's an engagement letter.
Mm-hmm. So the engagement letter, he'd sit down with us, and that's a fairly inexpensive item. And then we would determine if we wanted to do a feasibility study on the culinary operations with his company.
And it'll be no more than $5,000. I did talk to Keith today as well. He's excited. He loves the property and really complimented Greg and Michelle for the tour. So good stuff there.
Actually, Derek's the one that gave him the tour.
Derek. I meant actually Derek.
I talked with him probably a good half hour, and one of the things he said was he felt like he walked through one of the greatest buildings in the world. He said to me, which I said really on this, but he said he thought we were 90% of the way to doing $10 million a year in sales. So I'm not sure about that, but he was
within 10 years, Greg.
What's that?
Within 10 years, 10 million is what he said.
That's not what he said to me.
Yeah,
maybe he said it to you.
That's what he said to me today.
But he was excited.
Yeah, we could get to 10 million within 10 years if we have a plan.
So that's that report. Michelle, you want to add anything?
Yeah, you said it well enough.
Very good. Okay to move on?
Yep.
Okay, approved contract for the 2019 traffic signal upgrades project.
Yeah, that was approved. Well, it was gone over by Chris Bauer, and her signal lighting company was the low bidder at $99,355. There were two other bidders, but they were quite a bit higher, 159 and 168,000. So, and this is also something that we've already signed an time extension on because due to the issues with the COVID-19. It'll probably get done this year, but it's going to be later than what was put on the contract.
Okay, and you're mostly funded through the
through the Green Light Go program. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract for the 2019 traffic signal upgrades project.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, moving right along. Department reports. Chief, or do you want to start?
Sure, absolutely. We still have, I know we discussed it in previous meetings, some parking issues that we're having on Clapperthal Road. When people, of course, it's starting to get nice out and people are using the Neversink Link trail there and causing some parking issues on Clapperthal. Our officers are still out there educating the public, reminding them not to park along Clapperthal Road there. We have issued some parking citations, and we continue to do that and monitor usage there on the roadway. In addition, I just want to also thank the public in providing resources for the police department. We've been very short on N95 mask and surgical mask and other cloth-related masks. The public has stepped up hugely for us. They've supplied us with additional N95 masks. We've gotten a good supply of surgical masks and cloth masks from the public that they've donated. In addition, some of the local businesses have stepped up and provided us with hand sanitizer, making sure that our officers have enough to keep safe out there. I can't say how proud I am, more proud I am of the police department and how our officers are coming into work each and every day, proud to serve. It's been a great honor to see that. It's a stressful time for everybody, and our officers have really stepped up to the plate and have performed admirably under sometimes hard circumstances. So, and I know other first responders as well. I'd like to thank them in addition to, it's a rough time for everybody, but we're pulling together, and we're making sure we're out there each and every day serving the citizens as well as we can under these difficult circumstances.
Great job.
Great, thanks, Chief. Clarence?
Okay, as far as the highway department, the last couple weeks, due to we had quite a bit of nice days. They've been working on doing a lot of grading. While that seems a little strange, there's a lot of shoulders that are washed out, especially up in the higher areas, what we call the hill country. Everybody's by themselves because each guy's in the truck, each guy's in the grader, each guy's in the loader, each guy's in the sweeper, and we have 2 guys flagging from either end. So everybody's by themselves. Nobody is, they're not bunched up or anything. So they're trying to stay safe. We've been helping out with the food drive with parking, with the traffic plan up at the promenade. They used that area and it worked very well, and they're going to do that again. Other than that, today they were out keeping an eye on catch basins and that kind of thing, but they've all been here every day. So it's like I said, they're trying to stay safe, and that's about it.
Much different operationally, I guess, Clarence, with social distancing and everything?
Yes, that's what they're doing, and they're they don't get in pickup trucks together or anything like that. They take a single truck. But like I said, for the 6-7 days that they were grading, it worked very well because we had to have 2 guys in trucks. So 2 guys in trucks, and then we had the loader operator, and we had the sweeper operator, and we had the grader operator. So it worked. Everybody stayed, and they were by themselves. So, and again, with everything else we've been doing, we make sure nobody's they're not on top of each other. So it's been going. It takes a little different planning, but it's been working.
Great. Thank you. Is Joe on? Is Joe Rogowski?
No, he's not here tonight.
Okay. Alicia?
All right. Sorry, I had to unmute myself here. I referenced a little bit ago when we were talking about the tax dispute that we did have an executive session this evening before the meeting to discuss that matter in some detail. And additionally, there were executive sessions that were held with regard to employment personnel issues on March 30th, April 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Alicia. Laurie, public comment.
Okay. Just get that up here. So we have 2 comments that are non-agenda items. So the first is John Carmelo. He did comment earlier. He has another comment that is separate. So this one's a little bit, it's 2 paragraphs long. So I will start that now.
This is a comment on the agenda process itself. The board puts too many items into the meeting, which does not permit sufficient time for discussion on each. Then the board limits comments to 3 minutes per resident and 30 minutes total. For some items, that is not enough time, i.e., wastewater treatment plant proceeds to have a productive dialogue. I don't see any item on this agenda that is time critical, so paring it down to a more reasonable list should not have been a problem. Limiting to 3 minute comments should be changed since the residents are the ones paying for and are affected by the decisions of the board. As such, they should be allowed sufficient input into the process.
Yeah, I don't know anyone else's comments. I mean, I said this at the beginning of the meeting. There's a lot going on in the township, and as we push things back, I think we would all like a very short one-page agenda. There are a lot of items that get pushed back and a lot of rework that is done. As I said at the beginning, the Board of Supervisors cannot sit down and does not deliberate on the agenda. We try to go through the agenda as quickly as possible, but the other side of that is, you know, losing items that are there. You're always able to table items on the agenda, but knowing what's in front of you, yeah, I agree. Keeping it to a reasonable time frame, trying to get public comment is a difficult balance, you know, and I think from my perspective, we'll continue to work on that, but there are a lot of issues out there and we want to communicate as much as possible. Any comments from any other supervisors?
Yeah, we missed the meeting, and this April fell that this is an extra week, so it's kind of, we've been gone a while, so thus the long agenda.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Yeah. No other comments? Laurie, next.
Okay. And this is the last one, and this is from a Stephen Bunch.
I think the board should check existing statutes on anything that might be considered disposal of medical waste or biohazards. The problem with used rubber gloves, wipes, and other devices to decontaminate is a serious issue already in parking lots. Leaving the high school kids, or anyone for that matter, to clean up what would qualify as a biohazard most likely is disgusting and inexcusable. I would suggest for an immediate response to print and post signs at stores warning of fines if trash receptacles are not used. I have a few suggestions, but the most important thing is to address this issue and post signs with EPD letterhead to emphasize how important the issue is.
Yeah, that's a big topic. I know, having been in the industrial world and chemist and everything, every waste stream is handled differently, and you know, you have your biohazards and biocides and contaminate in different levels, and you should separate those waste streams. I mean, that is certainly a big challenge, though, to have that available everywhere. I mean, it's certainly a good initiative, especially in this time, but I don't know if anyone else has any experience with that.
Well, if you'd like to get in touch with me, I'd be happy to talk to him about disposal of that or anything else that's hazardous. And I also have other contacts that he can talk to help him.
Very good. Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
That was it for comments, Laurie?
That was it.
All right, supervisor reports. John?
Just want to thank the board for doing this, and the administration for setting up Zoom and everything. I think it was a great team effort. It showed that we all work together with the admin and the board, and are able to get things done with some of the executive sessions that we mentioned earlier than today's meeting. So I just want to thank the board for the great teamwork and the great support that we've had for each other.
Great. Thanks. Michelle?
I would just like to, I hope everyone stays safe out there and be careful and remain nice and healthy, and have a good evening.
Great. Thank you. Joe?
A couple things. One, that we did have a meeting on the golf committee for the Reading Country Club. When everything again is back to normal and we're all in the same room, we'll bring Derek and Brian in. There were 15 residents that attended, John and myself, along with Derek and Brian. So we appreciated that. The purchases tonight were part of the notes, but we'll get into that in detail when we have the time. Second, what John said, thanks to Laurie and Clarence and the team putting this together. I've been on more Zoom conference calls in the last 3 weeks than I have in the previous 20 years or whatever Zoom's been, or all these conference calls have been around. So thank you. I think it went as well as it possibly could have. And also too want to then second what Michelle said, that just wish everybody out in the community and family and friends are safe and sound through this mess, and hopefully we get back to a sense of normalcy soon. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Greg?
Yeah, I want to echo the thanking Laurie and Clarence and everyone with getting this Zoom set up. I think it went very well, and I know they put a lot of time into making it happen. Also want to thank all the first responders, certainly our police, but anyone else who's providing essential services for the community. One group I want to give a shout out in particular to, and they asked that I give a shout out to Clarence and his guys, and that's the Exeter Area Food Pantry. You know, it's an organization that's now been around for almost 10 years. And to me, a sign of a good organization is a group that's always looking to improve. They've had to go to drive-through gives now rather than allowing their clients to have a shopping experience. And the first one in March at a Reformation, they served 176 families, and it was quite bumpy. The second one, April 8th, they served 283 families. They ran out of food, essentially. And it went very well, and they wanted to make sure everyone was aware what a big help Clarence and his team was. So I want to make sure that everyone realizes how supportive the township staff was to help make that happen. They're having another give then April 22nd, and they're bracing themselves for the probability that there will be even more families. Very difficult times right now. So thank you, Clarence and his guys, for all they did.
I'll pass it on. Yeah.
And then thank you to that group, because you know I've been involved for about 2 years on the steering committee, and I had no idea all that went into making those gives happen. So you know, we're fortunate to have so many dedicated people helping out with that. So thank you to them. Then one last thing, Dave, and I don't know if you were going to talk about this. You and I had a conversation about the property taxes and what the county does. I don't know, were you planning on mentioning that?
I could, but maybe I'll let Jen, do you want to comment on it?
That's an unmuter.
Are you talking about the deadline for the discount period?
Dave and I had asked him, was anything going on with property taxes? Because, you know, right now some people might have trouble paying them and so forth. And if we had a position on that, and my feeling is if the county does something, we should certainly do something as well, you know, whatever the county does. And I just want people to know that's what my thought is, at least, you know, because I'm sure some people are very worried about this stuff.
From what I understand, and I could be wrong on this, but I don't believe it's even a county decision. I believe it's a state decision.
Yeah, it's at the state level.
Right, it's at the state level now.
Right, it's a state decision that has to be made, and I have not heard anything that there is any talk of moving the discount period deadline, which does expire at the end of April.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect the discount to be moved. I would expect the deadline to be moved. So,
yeah, I called Maloney on that, Dave Maloney, and he said that it's something they're looking at.
Okay.
So I think there's more to come with the legislation. I know they went back to Harrisburg today, actually. So hopefully something gets done this week. I know they have a lot of bills to try to reopen part of the state. So hopefully that something comes this week from the state.
I know it's something people are concerned about, so I want them to at least know it's on our radar.
Yeah, the real estate taxes, and then Greg, I mean, or Jen also, I mean, the EIT, I think we follow the Fed and the state. So as far as the local income tax filing, rather than the real estate filing, that's following the same process, and that is July.
Correct. Berks EIT has already put out that they will be following the federal and state deadline of July 15th. So federal, state, and local income taxes have all been pushed to July 15th.
And there is a link to that on our website.
Correct.
Great. Thank you. Anything else, Greg?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, I want to echo very much of the same. I mean, Laurie, logistically, I think this worked pretty well for our first trial, so thank you for setting that up. Jen, Clarence, all the department heads, and all the staff, thank you for all you're getting done in certainly these difficult times. I hope everyone out there stays safe. The public, you're probably getting a lot of time with the family. Maybe you're certainly ready to get out of the house soon. But, it's a different environment right now, and it's very humbling. Put things back in priority of what can happen. So I wish everyone well, and thanks for your patience with this process. We'll try to evolve this into improvements each time, but hopefully we won't become experts and be having to do this for months. So thank you, everyone. And
Hey, I got one more quick thing.
go ahead, Clarence.
We have the folder here that needs a lot of signatures from you guys.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so supervisors.
Yeah.
For the disbursements and everyone, if everyone could stop in the next day or so to provide your signatures.
Where are they going to be, Clarence? So that when we go in there, we're not.
I'm at the front office with, either be with Jen or at Lori's.
Okay, I'll try to get there tomorrow.
And
We need to call first, Clarence, or just come down?
Just come down.
you need
Okay.
it by Wednesday?
Are you here now, Clarence?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I'm here if you want to.
Yeah, you can sign them.
Separate times, Joe, so we're social distancing.
You got it. Stay 6 foot away from you. Yeah, I'll come down in the morning, Clarence.
No problem.
I'll do mid-morning then.
Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Text me when you leave, Joe.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Dave.
Thank you, John.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Michelle. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks.